April 1923. Inside Cairo's Continental Savoy Hotel, a wealthy British aristocrat is thrashing in his bed, dying from a severe, unexplained infection. At exactly 1:55 a.m., he takes his final breath. At that precise second, the entire city of Cairo loses power. Thousands of miles away in England, the Lord's beloved pet dog suddenly begins to howl and then drops dead on the spot. This was only the beginning. Over the next few years, 22 people connected to a single archaeological dig would meet violent, sudden, or highly unusual ends. These staggering coincidences gripped the public, convincing the modern world that a 3,000-year-old magic curse had been unleashed. To understand how this panic started, we have to rewind a few months to November 1922. British archaeologist Howard Carter had spent 15 years searching the Egyptian desert, and he was completely out of funding. This excavation was his absolute last chance. His persistence paid off. Carter pierced a sealed limestone door and stepped into an untouched tomb packed with over 5,000 pristine artifacts, including the solid gold death mask of Pharaoh Tutankhamun. But the celebration was immediately shadowed by a disturbing omen. Carter had a pet canary, and shortly after the discovery, a cobra managed to slip inside its cage and devour the bird. For the local workers, the cobra was a potent symbol of ancient royal vengeance. Then came rumors of a physical threat. Reports circulated that a clay tablet rested at the tomb's entrance, bearing where Lord Carnarvon, the man who funded the expedition, received the infected bug bite that killed him. The combination of priceless treasure, chilling animal omens, and a rising death toll gave the press every ingredient required to sell a global supernatural panic. The narrative is undeniably terrifying, but when we actually scrutinize the historical timeline, the curse completely falls apart. Take that foundational piece of evidence, the ancient clay warning tablet. Archaeologists never found it because it never existed. The truth lies in the business of journalism. Lord Carnarvon sold exclusive reporting rights to a single newspaper, The Times. Rival journalists were completely locked out of the biggest story of the century, leaving them desperate to invent sensational angles to sell papers. An amateur archaeologist pitched the idea of a curse to the press. When reporters asked the expedition security guard if such a warning existed, he didn't confirm it. He just gave a silent, knowing smile. That smirk gave the reporters all the permission they needed to print the myth as fact. The Curse of the Pharaohs succeeded as a work of calculated sensationalism, allowing locked-out reporters to transform a quiet excavation into a profitable front-page thriller. Even the supposed supernatural deaths collapse under basic medical scrutiny. Lord Carnarvon's demise was a biological reality of the time. In 1923, before the mass production of penicillin, a simple infected mosquito bite was frequently a fatal illness. The eerie synchronized blackout in Cairo was also a standard part of daily life. In the 1920s, citywide power grid failures were highly routine occurrences. And the dog that supposedly dropped dead at the exact same moment? Simple geography breaks that timeline. Once you account for the time zone differences between Egypt and England, the dog actually died hours apart from its master. Comparing the 1920s standard life expectancy against the lifespan of the expedition team. Of the 44 Westerners present, those who entered the tomb lived to an average age of 73, noticeably higher than the typical life expectancy for their era. The physical reality of the pharaoh himself also contradicts the myth of a powerful god-king. Medical scans reveal Tutankhamun was a frail, highly inbred teenager who suffered from severe bone disease and malaria. He couldn't even walk without a cane. His resting place survived for millennia because he was a historically insignificant ruler, quickly forgotten by his own people and bypassed by ancient grave robbers. If a lethal curse truly existed, the people who physically breached the tomb and handled the body should have been the first targets. Yet the doctor who unspooled the bandages and performed the autopsy lived to be 87. Lord Carnarvon's daughter, one of the first people to step inside the chamber, lived to the age of 78. Then there is Howard Carter himself, the man who actually broke the seal. He lived for 16 more years, often openly mocking the reporters who showed up to ask him about the curse. The public simply ignored the healthy survivors. Because of confirmation bias, audiences only paid attention to the tragic deaths caused by pre-existing conditions and natural causes, filtering out everything else to keep the spooky story alive. There is a deep irony in how all of this unfolded. Ancient Egyptian religion holds one core tenet above all others. A person only truly dies when the last living person stops speaking their name. Tutankhamun's successors intentionally erased him from their monuments and records, dooming him to 3,000 years of complete historical obscurity. Howard Carter's discovery fueled a century of global headlines, inadvertently granting a forgotten teenage boy the one thing his successors tried to steal, a name that would be spoken forever.